There are two types of women. The ones who excel in the life of housewives, and the ones you don't dare to tell that dinner won't be ready. Today's video is about the second kind. Subscribe to our channel and give it a like because we will remind you how brutal women can be inside the cage. The top 10 list is full of savage knockouts, with a surprise at number 1, so stay tuned until the end of the video. Russian fighter Diana Avsaragova needed only 2 professional fights to reach Bellator's circled cage. There, she decided to present herself in a merciless style and in the shortest possible time against her US opponent, Tara Graf, who had a negative score of 2 losses and 1 win. Graf was the one who decided to impose her pressure, not knowing that such a game plan would be her downfall. There's no doubt that she was eager to straighten out her career, but unfortunately for her, Diana was patient and precise. Avsaragova needed 1 sharp cross from the counter to shake her opponent and finish her off with a couple of additional punches.
But nice. Oh, and she got dropped. Starting to overextend by being so aggressive. Avsaragova.
Fast and impressive debut for the young Russian with a brutal knockout that looks harmless when compared to the rest of the knockouts on the list. Jessica Andrade had her ups and downs in her long UFC career. She was a title challenger more than once, and after every fall, she just kept coming back. After the first mistrain in 2017, she got another chance in 2019. The champion at the time was Rose Namajunas, who faced Andrade in her second title defense. Namajunas was relentless and quick with movements throughout the first round, doing damage from the start. Jessica, on the other hand, was quite frustrated and dominated as Rose was piecing her up. In the second, there were no significant changes except that Andrade started to move forward, but the champion still fought cleanly and accurately. Jessica already missed 1 opportunity for the title, and there was no way she would miss this one as well. After she pressed Namajunas against the fence, who went for a Kimura, the dog in Andrade suddenly woke up, with the voice of Dominic Cruz saying,
"The problem, which is the hands. Nope, can't lift there. She's still
Jessica decided to prove otherwise. She picked up Rose, slammed her right on the head to knock her out, and finally became the champion on the second attempt. It would be crazy to imagine a woman's knockout list without Cyborg showing the horror of her heavy hands. 27 wins with 21 knockouts. As much as women's MMA is less watched than men's, everyone knows about Cris Cyborg. After losing to Amanda Nunes, the multi-promotion champion left the UFC and managed to find success in Bellator, and the promotion made sure to keep the star shining. Consequently, Sinead Kavanagh, with a score of 7-4 and a 2-fight winning streak, wandered off into Bellator's cage and Cyborg's third title defense. The first close contact they had, the girls spiced it up with the barbarous exchange in which the Irish fighter visibly felt the power of Cyborg. After Cris spent some time holding Sinead against the fence and forcing a takedown, Kavanagh managed to save herself, but only briefly. The very next exchange was vicious on both sides, but unfortunately fatal for Kavanagh. She wanted to go all in, but Cyborg, as always, was terrifying.
Get you against the cage.
Veronica Macedo Hardy is a current UFC competitor who has been on the professional scene for 8 years. However, she is also the owner of one of the most famous knockouts in the female amateur MMA world. The reason for this is the brutality of her KO. 10 years ago at Say Uncle Fight Night 2, her opponent was Chrissy Auden, a woman who couldn't push through an amateur career, let alone a professional one. The video of the fight lasts 5 minutes, and although the fight was over in 25 seconds, the rest of the footage belongs to Auden, who was trying to come back to life. See for yourself what it's all about. And for complete enjoyment, put on your headphones, turn up the volume, and you'll understand why poor Chrissy lay there for almost 5 minutes. You probably know Emily Ducote from her UFC fights in recent years. She arrived there in 2022 after winning and defending the Invicta FC title, and this knockout was the penultimate step to a major world promotion. While many women would excel at Invicta FC and then get called up to the UFC, her opponent, Danielle Taylor, did it the other way around. After a 2-3 UFC score, she had to look for success in other promotions, but unfortunately, she did not find it. Danielle got her last chance for the title in 2021 against Emily Ducote, and she didn't even have time to use it. Literally. After 2.5 minutes of fighting, Danielle tried to close the distance, but Emily took advantage and knocked her out with a counter right hand.
Like she shut down that avenue.
Ooh, hard right hand. Taylor in trouble. Emily Ducote knocks out Danielle Taylor to become the
But that's not all, because Taylor froze on her feet with 1% consciousness left in her brain. Ducote knocked the rest of her consciousness out of Danielle by serving up a high kick from hell. To make matters worse, Taylor obviously couldn't recover from this blow, losing the next 3 fights as well. In 2017, the Combat Americas promotion, now known as Combat Global, featured a fight between Melissa Martinez and Yajaira Romo. Super Mili entered her second professional fight against the slightly more experienced Romo, who is competing for the 6th time. In the beginning, Yajaira tried to pressure Martinez, but the tide quickly turned due to Meli's combinations, accompanied by strong and lightning-fast kicks. Romo's legs turned red already in the first round, and Melissa was putting on a one-sided beating. The more experienced Yajaira started to crack under the pressure and was saved by the bell, but her salvation did not last long. It was clear that brutal kicks would decide the fight, and Martinez did it in the most beautiful, striking way possible. After being mistreated on the ground, Yajaira managed to get up only to fall again due to relentless kicks from Super Mili. We have seen again that the more experienced fighter does not always win. This year, 2023 in the PFL had many impressive knockouts, and one in particular caught our attention and found its way into today's video. After participating in Bellator and Invicta FC, Amber Leibrock brutally presented herself in her PFL debut against opponent Martina Jindrova, who has already had several fights for the promotion. By the middle of the first round, only 9 clean strikes landed, but the 10th was vicious and fight-ending. Out of nowhere, Amber threw a brutal front high kick that rang off Jindrova's chin and collapsed her like a burning house in an instant.
Finish here in round number 1. That would put either of them at the top of the feather. Oh boy! Amanda Leibrock lands the head kick! Leibrock with a knockout in her PFL!
It looked like Leibrock faked a switch kick and then threw it without the switch. The American then followed with a couple of unnecessary punches, cementing her victory and making her welcome the PFL. People are not aware of what kind of hip joints you need to have to perform a kick like this, especially at such a short distance. We definitely need more female fighters dropping KOs like this. It's not easy to see legends fall, but in combat sports it happens sooner or later. Joanna Jędrzejczyk has done more title fights than ordinary bouts in her career, which says a lot about her tale. After a dominant reign and an undefeated streak, she experienced a sudden decline, and the second fight against current champion Zhang Weili was her doom. The ladies gave us the Fight of the Year 2020, where Weili celebrated a split decision victory. After a brutal 5 rounds fight, the rematch was announced and long awaited for 2 years. Queen Zhou went into her last war trying to get her title back, but from that crusade she came back empty-handed. Zhang was better in all aspects of the game, and then, in the second round with a merciless spinning back fist, she spilled the once dominant champion on the canvas to defend her throne.
Joanna's constantly pressuring.
Spinning back, that's it! For Jędrzejczyk! Tending to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Act 2!
Goodness. I mean, oh my goodness.
A brutal knockout, a new championship reign, and the retirement of Joanna. What a night it was for women MMA. The co-main event at UFC 238 brought us a title fight with 2 experienced fighters and 1 brutal knockout. Champion Valentina Shevchenko versus challenger Jessica Eye. The Bullet hinted that the match would end with a kick, as she was accurately targeting her opponent's guts all the time. It didn't take long for the famous striker to secure a takedown and spend the round on Jessica, collecting points on the judges' scorecards. However, in the second round, Valentina decided that the judges' decision would not be necessary. Shevchenko kept posing a threat with clean, devastating kicks to the opponent's torso. Finally, after a beautiful setup with 3 middle kicks, the champion changed her target. Valentina took aim at Jessica's head instead of her body, taking her out of the fight and her consciousness to defend her UFC flyweight title.
With a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh, head kick. It's in. Oh, God.
Valentina Shevchenko with a huge highlight tonight.
That is a terrible head kick.
Finally, we give you a dose of female ruthlessness among the most elite fighters in the UFC that brought women's MMA on the map. And not 1 but 5 knockouts where 4 great female fighters participated. In 2015, Ronda Rousey achieved only the 3rd knockout in her career against Beth Correia when she landed the Brazilian face flat on the floor with her punches. This was her 6th and last title defense. Just 2.5 months later, her dominant reign ends with a brutal head kick by Holly Holm, a knockout that quickly became a fan favorite due to Ronda's arrogance.
Holly looking to finish. Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion.
Although Holly already lost the title in the next fight and lost 2 more fights, she returned with a victory in 2017, again with a high kick, but against Beth Correia. Meanwhile, Ronda returned after a 1-year hiatus in a 2016 title fight against the dangerous Amanda Nunes. In less than a minute, Nunes ferociously punched through Rousey and sent her to retirement. The Lioness went over Ronda like she was nothing. Holly got another shot at the title in 2019, but unfortunately for her, against Amanda Nunes, who showed the Preacher daughter what it feels like to get kicked in the head.
Oh, Nunes was... Huge head kick for Nunes! Amanda Nunes, the queen of the jungle!
We hope you enjoyed the video. There were many knockouts in the game, and we have prepared the best for you. Tell us in the comments which one you think is the most vicious. Don't forget to support our work because we have a lot more in store for you. Peace out.